Now, the Federal High Court in Lagos has ordered the federal government to fix the prices of goods and petroleum products within 7 days. Justice Ambrose Lewis Alagua specifically ordered the government to work on the price of milk, flour, salt, sugar, bicycles and their spare parts, matches, motorcycles and their spare parts, motor vehicles and their spare parts, as well as petroleum products. The judge gave the order while delivering judgment in a suit filed by human rights activist Mr. Femi Falana, SAN, against the Price Control Board and the Attorney General of the Federation, and listed as the first and second defendants. Now, all of this comes as protests have sprung up in some parts of the country over the rise in the cost of living and untold hardship faced by Nigerians. But the ruling All Progressives Congress has accused opposition parties of sponsoring the protests which rocked Niger and Kano states over hardship, lack of food, and high cost of living. Well, for more on this, I'm glad to be joined in the studio by Dr. Ogunsola Akintunde, who is an economic and financial analyst and also the senior partner at Karma Professional Services. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us. Let's talk exactly about some of these issues that we've seen. This court order is actually in line with the Price Control Board that we actually had a law in 1977 and was reenacted in 2004. But we've seen this Price Control Board not being functional. It was domiciled in the Federal Ministry of Trade and Commerce as, I think, a department. And all of a sudden, we didn't really hear so much about it until sometime last year when a member of the House of Reps moved a motion saying that, look, the federal government needs to do something about ensuring that that department works. Now, in all, how feasible can it be for the federal government to fix prices of milk, all of these that I mentioned, in 7 days, as the court has ordered?
All right, thank you, Mr. Sumner. It's my pleasure to be here again. Yes, the court order has gone, but, well, even me, when I got the news of this court order, I was like, how feasible is it that government will obey this court order when we know that in Nigeria, court orders that is obeyed are being chosen. So I don't see the visibility of government actually, coming to terms with this court order, especially in 7 days. Is actually looking like it's not feasible.
All right, I just want to let our viewers know that as we're having this conversation, I just got a message from the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation from his Special Advisor on Communication and Publicity saying that this is the official reaction, and I read that as soon as we have a copy of the judgment, we will study it. On the long run, we will take a decision that is in the best interest of the country. We rest assured that this government will always have the interests of the masses at heart, and that message is signed by Kamarudin Ogundele, who is the Special Advisor on Communication and Publicity to the Attorney General of the Federation. Thank you so much for being proactive in sending us this message. But let's get back to the issue. You would have seen that even the Office of the AGF is actually worried, but they haven't received it, and the message is that in 7 days. But let's talk about the foundations of the Price Control Board. If you go to other countries, you will see that there's a deliberate attempt by government to actually moderate prices so that you don't have entrepreneurs that just want to milk the public. As an economist, having seen and studied other countries, how realistic is such if the federal government is to revive it?
Yeah, it's actually very realistic. In the past, Nigeria has actually been on that path, especially during the time that this act was actually passed in 1976. But now, government seems to be helpless because several times government have deliberately fixed prices and citizens actually flaunt it and government didn't do anything. In fact, we go to the price of petrol, even where subsidy was even existing, government pegged price of petrol, but it's not the same all over the country. And citizens have been crying out and say, okay, some filling stations are selling above the pegged price, but maybe sometimes DPR will go around and maybe after they go, they continue to sell, and some are, enjoying the fixed price, while some are not enjoying the fixed price. There is no deliberate action by government to actually discipline and actually sanction those that are selling above the price. That is one of it. Secondly, government is also helpless in terms of controlling the cost of actually supplying and controlling the supply. What do I mean by that? Now, Nigeria, we know we rely on imports. We rely on consumption of imported goods. And all these imported goods are relying on the exchange rates. And government does not have control over the exchange rates. And that is the basic problem. That's the foundation of the problem that we have. And that is why the food prices continue to rise. The food inflation index have been rising, persistently for more than 1 year. And government seems to be helpless. They are just rolling out statistics that food prices are going up. And I've also mentioned it even on this station that if government does not do something to the price of diesel, that will continue to see food prices increasing, because food items like the milk and all those things that were mentioned are actually transported on diesel. And diesel is still being imported. We're not producing it in Nigeria. The last time I checked, I saw the price of diesel at 1,250 thereabouts. And it's continued to change. It's just you go to the station and any price you see there, you buy. So you cannot blame those selling the milk and foodstuff, because they rely on diesel trailers. They transport milk from Lagos.
From different parts of the country.
From different parts of the country and to the north. And they are being transported on diesel. And if the price of diesel is increasing, they can't have any control. Secondly, we have so many blockages, stoppages, roadblocks, along the way, that when these trailers are passing, you see them, they have to be dropping, paying some form of road taxes to some of these people, blocking the roads. Now, all these costs are factored into the cost of this commodity at the end of the day. Can government help to, remove the roadblocks or stop paying some road taxes on the road? I don't know if government can do that. So these are the factors that are actually militating against, pegging of the price. But government has the capacity and the capability to do that. And that is why the FCCPC was actually commissioned. They are working hand in hand, just like the Price Control Board, to ensure that consumers are not cheated. The price of a commodity that is being fixed should be that price that is being, purchased by consumers.
I don't think you've been to the market of recent, because as of last week, I heard that the bag of rice was about 60,000, and just this afternoon, someone was telling me it's about 68,000. So what happened between last week and today that, 10,000 naira has been
Between last
added?
week and today, the price of diesel have changed from 1,100 to 1,250. What happened? What is changing the price of diesel? Because we are still relying on imports, and you see the exchange rate between the dollar and the naira, government does not have control over it. It continues to, increase. We have seen the naira and the dollar continue to fall, and then government seems not to be able to control that. We are having naira now above 1,500, thereabouts, and government is still struggling to see how to peg it. So until possibly government look inwards to say, okay, let the Port Harcourt refineries, start functioning. Let Dangote refinery begin to produce, so that we forget about the exchange rates. We can now say, okay, let us control the price, because this diesel now is being purchased in naira. We are no longer relying on the dollar and all that. Then government can now have a say. But because government cannot control the exchange rates, we are importing almost everything we are consuming. In fact, we still have imported milk. We have imported sugar and all those things. How will government go and fix price of imported goods?
Yeah, I thought maybe the government will be sending officers to supermarkets and all of that, based on the foundations of the Price Control Board that was enacted in 1977. And of course, the realities have changed between then and 2004, when it was reworked, and now. But talk to us on the fundamentals of running our economy. We say we practice a free market economy. What does that mean? Doesn't it also suggest that the government should allow everybody to run things the way they can, based on demand and supply?
Yeah, thank you very much. When you talk of free market is saying that let the buyers come to the market and sell at any price that they feel that they can make profit, and let the buyer also look for the cheapest among various buyers of the same commodity. So that if you go to Mr. A, he says his own is 100 naira, go to Mr. B shop, his own might be maybe 80 naira or 90 naira. Then you buy from somebody that is selling cheaper, and then it brings competition. So it makes these suppliers to be competing against each other, thereby forcing the prices to drop a little. But in Nigeria, the reverse is the case. The suppliers have association.
Yeah, they have become like a cartel. Where, for example, all those people who are selling rice now, once they just hear
meet,
that the price of market
they just,
rising,
maybe on WhatsApp, they just put it on WhatsApp and say, price have changed now where we are buying. So everybody change your price. That's what is happening. And government cannot really control this because the source of their input is actually being hampered by this economic challenge that we are facing. And that is why government is actually helpless.
Insecurity and all of that. But talk to us about regulatory authorities. I mean, if we have the Ministry of Trade and Industry, I mean, how do we ensure that we support manufacturers to actually improve on their production? And if we can't regulate the, I mean, little foods here and there in the open market, how about people who are whole-time, big-time manufacturers and all of that? Can we control the prices of goods that are produced in factory based on this market price control board? Yeah,
we have price control. Government wants to control the price. We have free market where we are saying let everybody come to the market to sell at the price that they feel they'll make profit. Now, it is not easy for government to do that. What I suggest that government should do is that government should, aid these manufacturers, give them some kind of subsidy on some of their, inputs, like the spare parts for their machineries. Government can, subsidize the rate for them because most of these parts are being imported for the machines. Also, we don't have power yet. President promised us accessible and affordable power in May 29, 2023. Is it affordable still? He said we should be patient. Well,
the Minister of Power actually says we are not paying enough. So it looks like manufacturers will be facing new prices.
These are the factors that are contributing to determine the price of a commodity. Nobody just wakes up and says this is the new price. They are being determined by factors of supply. Diesel, the cost of labor. You see everybody asking for increment in salaries now. All the workers are asking for increase our salary. Things are no longer easy. Now, when the cost of labor is actually increased, cost of power has increased, cost of diesel has increased, cost of so many things have increased. Coupled with insecurity, you still need to, do a lot around security to ensure that your business can survive. In addition to that, government is still increasing taxes. These are the things, these are the factors around business people increasing prices. So if government wants to control the price, government should find a way of finding a solution to some of these inputs and make them affordable. Then we'll see the prices begin to go down.
Yeah, but does the government actually have a choice in this matter? There's a court order, a subsisting court order. And you would have heard the Office of the Attorney General actually saying that once they receive it, they will study it. But of course, the judgment is against the federal government.
Maybe they will study within 24 hours.
All right. Should we be considering the idea of, fine-tuning our economic policy as a country? If this free market economy is not working for us, based on the way we borrowed it from the Americans, should we go back to some sort of a mixture of, or even some socialism, some form of socialism, so that, we mix these things together? Because people say that this capitalism we are practicing,
that is what
it's too harsh.
That is what we're practicing when subsidy was subsisting. Because government wants to ensure that prices are not going high. Government brought in subsidy and said, okay, we are going to peg the price at so value. And then if any factors of supply actually goes up, government said we will bear the brunt. We'll pay that subsidy. And now we have been doing that for so many things. Government subsidized cement, government subsidized fuel, they were subsidizing diesel. And then that led to us borrowing so much, and now we are indebted. And government says subsidy is not sustainable. In fact, everybody agreed that we can no longer continue to subsidize because of the high level of debt that this has actually thrown us into. Now, and that has led to where we are today. So the basic thing is that let us begin to produce locally. Government should invest in industrializing the country so that we don't need to go and be importing. We have the Ajaokuta steel there. Let it begin to function. Let our refineries begin to function. We will not rely, we'll have less demand for dollars. And then we'll begin to buy things locally. Dangote refinery cannot get crude oil from Nigeria. And then we're expecting him to sell diesel and petrol cheap. How can that be possible?
Well, he's importing crude oil from the US. And all of us are actually surprised. But as we try to round off this conversation, talk to me about the greed of capitalists, businessmen, entrepreneurs, people who just cash in on the happenings within the system and just decide abruptly to just increase prices, even when they have old stock and haven't bought new stock. For example, you go around now, like we talked about basic commodities, price of milk and all of that and so on. Someone still has an old stock, but just because he hears an information, he moves the price arbitrarily beyond the reach of consumers.
Okay, possibly I would advise that Mr. Sambo should just start a small business and have a feel of what these businessmen are feeling. Now, if you are selling, for example, let's say milk, you have whole stock, you have stocked everywhere full of milk. And then you now heard that if you are coming to buy that milk from your supplier again, we will not sell it at that old price, so we are selling it for you at the new price. Now, the seller wants to take advantage that instead of me to sell this at the old price and go and borrow money or look for another fund to inject into the business for me to be able to buy and restock, it is better I make more profit so that I can raise more money to go and restock. And that is why we see that. It is not actually a good thing.
Yeah, but that's not bad in itself. But the thing is that they now willingly and arbitrarily increase the price. So that, for example, you go to Wuse and you buy a bag of rice, 60,000. Then you come to Maitama and someone is selling you that a bag of rice is 68,000. You go to Lekki and you buy a car for maybe 50 million. And then you go to somewhere like Oshodi and you hear that that same car is like about 45 million. So, and the question is, can't we curb the greed, among some people? At least, if you're increasing your price, let it be within certain thresholds.
Well, from the example you gave, it's the same thing even with the flights. There is economy, there is business class. You choose the one that you will enter. Though it's the same plane.
All right.
The same Coke that you buy on the street for 200, in the airport sold for 1,005.
Well,
so you choose where you go to buy from, and that will determine. But the businessmen are actually taking advantage of the situation, no doubt about that. But it's because government is not there, there's nobody there to control them. But these people need to also have conscience that the poor are suffering. Those that cannot buy in bulk, those that are buying daily, one small, buying in bits, they are actually spending more than people that are buying in bulk. So
all right, so where's the place of the Federal Consumer Protection Commission? Because it looks like consumers have been left in the lurch.
The Federal Consumer Protection Commission are not up to their task. They are not doing enough. They need to, continue to roll out prices, roll out phone numbers that they should call, so that in case if anything is, they should be on top of their game at this time that we are experiencing inconsistency in price increase.
All right, Dr. Akintunde Ogunsola is an economist and financial analyst. We must thank you for helping us to understand the issues. But I can say that even within you two, your family, I can tell you that no one is smiling.
Of course.
Because you wake up with these demands every now and then your pockets just keeps, the holes in your pocket.
Finally, I would like to advise government to ban exportation of raw food items. Okay. That will also help us, because we discovered that some of this food stuff are finding their ways to US, UK, China, and so on. People are exporting, despite that we are crying that we don't have enough. So if government can ban some of these basic food items, it will also help to reduce the hike in the prices. All right, I'm afraid that's a very good place to actually leave it. We hope the government is actually listening, but well, they have 7 days to actually comply with that federal High Court judgment filed by, that case was filed by Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and of course there's a pending determination on it by the federal government. Well, that's how it's been for this edition of Arise Primetime. Do join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Samna Sambi.